Okay, now we're going to apply the edit mode lessons we've learned. Okay, so usually since this cube is all sides, okay, you can see it on all sides, it's all the same. And why is that? Well, with games you try to preserve memory, okay, so that's why they repeat a lot of these textures. I don't know if you played video games where you probably noticed the tree is used multiple times. That fence is used multiple times. Okay, it's simply because to save some memory in there, so you don't keep loading new things. Okay, so another thing that we can do is make our object look like they're high polygon, like all these sides right here would be individual parts. Okay, normally what we want to do is just one, and then since this is all the same, we can just duplicate that side, right? So let's first model this with the technique that you know, and we'll add one more tool. Okay, so first things first is I want to work on this in the front viewport, because our object, our photo right here is designed for a front viewport. It's just flat. Okay, so I'm going to press number 1, okay, in the numpad, so I'm in the front viewport right here. And what we can do with this is go to our edit mode. So I'm going to go here, object to edit mode, or keyboard shortcut tab. Okay, what I want is to select the face selection. So point, edge, and then face. All right, the keyboard shortcut for face is number 3. Okay, I'm gonna select this face here just to show you. There it is. I'm only selecting the front. Okay, I'm gonna press number 1 again on the numpad to go back to the front. All right, so what I want to do is create kind of like this border right here and recede this side of the crate, and then create using the knife tool to create this slanted plank right here. Okay, so in order to do that, I need to select this first. Okay, so normally you would want to extrude this, scale, and whatnot, but there's another extrude tool called inset tool. Okay, the keyboard shortcut is I, as in inset. However, if you look at your extrude tool, there's a little notch at the bottom. So I don't know if you're familiar with UI design. Each time there's a notch like that on any tool, if you click and hold the mouse, that means there's more, okay, that goes down here. You see it? Okay, so right here with loop cut, there's multiple loop cuts, so on and so forth, right? So what we want to use is our inset, and it's this one right here. Okay, inset faces, or keyboard shortcut I. All right, so if I select this one, again, we see that yellow contraption right there. If I click and drag that, oops, sorry, I gotta go at an angle so we can see it better. If I click and drag that, as you can see, it created an extrusion, but it's also shrinking it within the plane of the selected face. So if I go like so, just kind of drag it until it matches those lines, I actually made a new polygon face here. So I'm going to go to my solid mode just so that to show you what was added. You see it? Okay, so let me go back to my look tab. Now what I want to do is extrude this, but do a negative extrude so it goes in. So I'm going to switch to my extrude tool here and then push this back a little bit. There we go. Not too much. It's we're just kind of simulating as if there's 2x4s that are kind of going in there. All right, so that's already looking a lot different. I'm going to go to object mode here just to see it. Okay, you see it? It's kind of adding a little bit of realism already, that there's actually 4 pieces of framing here. You see it? However, we're not going to be happy with the photo here. Okay, if I zoom in on the corners here, you see the issue? That photo is being stretched because we're trying to stretch like a paper thin photo, and it's not represented here. So that's when we need to go back to our UV editing to kind of fix that. But we'll do that after we finish the model. Okay, and we're only doing one side here because we don't need to create all 6 sides. We can just duplicate that, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to edit mode. Okay, and then I'm going to be using my knife tool here. Okay, So I'm gonna go back to my modeling tab here, just so that we could see this a lot bigger. It's by itself. I'm gonna go to my look dev so we could see that. Okay. So what I want is to position it like so where I could see the top and the bottom of that line. Same thing here, the bottom and the top of that line. So the keyboard shortcut for the knife tool is K, as in knife. So I'm gonna press K and this switch to this one. So we want to make sure that we land this green dot along that line right there. And we're looking at the photo where that wood starts right here. So I'm gonna click that and then click here at the bottom. Okay, and I'm going to click enter to end my knife tool. And as you can see, if I go to a solid mode, all right, so there's a line here. Okay, keep in mind I click those lines, the one that's extruded in, right, not this outside border right here. If you click that and click that here, your cut would go whoop, it's going to go up there, and then you're not going to have the same result as the demo. I'm going to go back to look dev. I'm going to press knife again for this bottom part. I'm going to press K right there. Make sure I'm on that line, not on this line, but that line right there. Click that one, this one as well. Okay, and then press enter or return to end the tool. All right, so we added that line, those two lines right there. You probably guess what we're going to do next is to select this newly made shape and then go to our extrude tool and pull that yellow handle right there. And we're not going to make it all the way here or outside. We'll just make this one slightly thinner than the framing. And look at that one. Let's go to our object mode. Okay. All right. So we're basically tracing this photo and model on top of it. Okay. All right, modeling wise, we are done for this side at least. Okay, but again, there's that issue of that really kind of nasty stretching. Okay, and then we could basically see that on some video games where they get lazy, they don't bother on the inside because no one would see it, and you kind of see those two in there. All right, so let's fix that real quick. And again, we're working on the front only. Okay, so to kind of simplify this, actually, let me do some cleaning up already. Okay, I'm going to go to edit mode. I'm going to go to face mode. Now we're number 3. I'm going to select this one, that, and the bottom. So everything else except the front. Okay, there's another way to do that. Of course, we can select all the faces up front and then you do reverse selection, but let's just keep it simple for tonight. Selected everything but the front. I'm going to press X to delete. Okay, let me turn on screencast again, on and off so you get to see it. X to delete, and I'm going to select delete faces, and voila, we only have this part. Okay, because that's all we need. We're just going to duplicate it for the other ones. Okay, so now let's go back to our UV editing. So in our UV editing, everything is still good except for those parts. Okay, so I'm going to go to edit mode for this. Select the side, that side right there. We're going to do this one at a time. Okay, I can do this all at the same time, but I'm going to do it one at a time so you guys get to see it multiple times and learn from it. Okay, so this particular one. So the keyboard shortcut to unwrap this selection is U. And then it's going to ask you, hey, how do you want this thing wrapped? So we still want it as a cube projection because we're assuming that that's the side of a plank of a wood, right? So I'm going to click on cube projection. And as you can see, Blender position it going straight up here. Actually, that's not so bad, except the problem is this. You get to see that cut of the wood right there. All right, so not good. All right, so what I want to do is, since it's positioned here, is just to select all that. So I'm going to drag a rectangle selection like so. I'm going to go to my move tool, and I'm simply going to move that to this portion of the wood where it's just straight, there's no cut. There's a kind of like a nail part going on in there, but I think we can get away with that. Okay, so there it is. No more stretching on that. I'm going to do the same thing for this side here. Select that. Press U to unwrap. Okay. I'm sorry. Press U. Yeah, you can just unwrap it. You don't need to do cube because it just puts it in there. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing for this side. Press U. Unwrap. This one. So now you're going to start looking at about your modeling pride, right? Because when I keep clicking the unwrap, it just keeps going on the same part of that wood. So you might be thinking, that looks exactly the same as that. So how do you randomize it? You can select it here and simply move it a little bit to the right. Then you get a different position on the wood. It would look different. But at this point, when you guys play, you just blow it up. No one will know. So U and unwrap would probably be good. All right, here it is. So now if I go to my object mode, no more stretch wood looking part. And this is all from one photo. Okay, and we're only using knife tool, inset, and extrude here. All right, so those three tools are what you're going to be using pretty much for the remainder of your time in Blender when you're modeling. We're going to be using those tools 99% of the time. Okay, extrude 98%. Okay, and then the other 2% would be inset and then knife tool. Okay, so how do we wrap this up? So if I look at the top, I'm going to press number 7 on the keyboard numpad, or you can press, sorry, I'm going to get rid of this one. You can press your Z-axis, okay, right there to go to the top. That's the same thing. We just want to duplicate this and rotate it, okay? So if I duplicate this, the keyboard shortcut is Shift-D, or you can go Object, Duplicate Object. That's the same thing. Shift-D. Okay, when you do a Shift-D, you get another cube. Okay, so right now we have cube right here. So if I change that to, let's say, front, okay, when I duplicate this Shift-D, as you can see, it's ready to move. So I'm going to right click to cancel this movement. Right click. Okay, and it's called front 001. So let's say I want to change that to back. Okay, so as you can see, there's my front and back occupying the same space. You see it? So I'm going to go back to the front. Okay, so you don't need to name any of this. I'm just using it here so that you can see the difference. I want to rotate this going all the way around. So if I click on my rotate tool, okay, and then I rotate here using my blue axis right here, right? You see it? But there's no precision here, right? I can kind of guess that's 180, but it's not very precise, is it? So I can right click to cancel that. If I press N, okay, where will I get my screencast? I can go to item right here, and you can see there's number inputs here. So the rotation right here can be precise. So if I go here and rotate that all the way, and I put -180 on the Z-axis, as you can see, it's perfectly positioned at the back. You see it? All right. Let me go back to the top. If I select both, okay, we're going to do another way to rotate this, okay? So if I select both, I'm going to go Shift-D to duplicate. There it is. As you can see right there, we added back 001 and front 001, so we know there's 4 items in there now. I'm going to right click to cancel the movement. Right click. Okay, what I want to do is do a rotation using keyboard shortcut. So now we're combining your knowledge now. Okay, I'm going to go to my select tool here so we don't get distracted by the rotate tool. So I'm going to press R to do rotation. So when I move my mouse now, there's a rotation. But again, there's no precision, right? Not unless I type in those numbers. So however, we can do this. If I press R to rotate, not move the mouse, okay? I'm going to hold down Control. While I'm holding down Control and move the mouse, do you see it snap to 5-degree increments? So by doing that, and I stop right there and click, voila, that thing snapped precisely. You see it? All right. So now if I look at the side, because these two are on the side, so I'm going to press number 3 on my numpad. Okay? right there, okay? Or I'm sorry, front, not side, but go to the front. Numpad 1, you see it right here. I'm gonna do the same thing. Shift D, right click to cancel the movement, right click. Okay, so I already have the duplicate. So there's 6 items in here now. I'm gonna press R to rotate, and then hold down Control and do my rotation, and voila, there it is. We only modeled one side, and by duplicating, we don't have to worry about all the other sides. But you say that looks exactly the same. Well, that's why this is a game asset. Okay, you only model one side, you only texture one side, and you populate it. You add some nice, fine, low polygon touches to it so that it doesn't look like it's made of paper and cardboard. There's a little bit of elevation and whatnot. Okay, this is 6 objects right here. So if I select the whole thing, we've done this before with our rainbow ring and the keyboard shortcut to join all this. And you don't want to be selecting your lights and camera by accident on this one. You just want it on this object, and you're going to press Control J to join. This becomes a single object, and of course you probably want to rename this to crate. Okay, and then object right here, join also. Okay, Control J or Command J, that's keyboard shortcut, and you got yourself a nice low polygon crate object. Okay, next week is when we're going to start adding features where we're going to put bump map and shininess to make this even more realistic. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording here. This completes our crate model demo.